should we start? What do you say? Did
There's
anyone
5
join?
anonymous people in the doc, but nobody has joined the meeting. That's curious.
Maybe the anonymous people is us, just from a different account.
That could also be.
I know for sure I commented with an anonymous,
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
so that I may be adding to the chaos. Am I sharing the right screen?
Looks good here.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, so Meg, I think there is a broken link here. If you can find the correct one, it would be awesome.
It's not to this. Oh,
Yeah, there is a duplication.
oh, I put mine in. Okay, got it. I
Okay, so let's start. I have very little announcement for the community, but I see Stacy also has something, so let's try to keep it brief because I think today we have quite a lot of things to refine. So maybe we can switch up the agenda a little bit. So first big news, we have a minor release for Keptn LTS. This is mostly security related, so dependency bumps. There is also something that has to do with documentation and nothing much more to say about this. This is 1.4.1. And as usual, everything is available. So the images and the .gz and the precompiled CLI and whatnot. About status updates, milestones, we still have the wrong things in the milestones. We should check probably the next one. Yes, we are still all working on the KLT monorepo. And today we will refine with Flo the next milestone, which is implementing SLO parity so that we have exactly the same feature as Keptn LTS in KLT. And I think that sums it up as for status updates. There has not been many changes from last time, as far as I am concerned. Stacy, do you want to show what this is about? Shall I share the screen?
Yeah, if you can just click on that link, that's fine. So yeah, Brad McCoy is giving a sort of an intro to Keptn Lifecycle Toolkit and how to get started on the CNCF online programs. So it's an on-demand webinar. It will be available starting August 17th. And as you can see, that's just the registration page. So I think it's available for like 2 days and then it makes you wait, and then they post it like a week later for just on-demand viewing. So register for that if you want to watch it. Dear community members, not necessarily people on this call, but people who are viewing this call post post talking. Yeah, that's kind of the only thing I had.
Thank you. That's cool.
Yeah.
Will we post this also on the channel, on the news channel?
Yeah, for
Cool.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, then maybe more people will see it.
Yeah.
Awesome. And anybody else has anything else which is community related, or should we move over to documentation? If so, Meg, I stopped sharing, and do you want to share, or Meg? I take it as
unmute. Yeah.
yes.
I don't think we need to look at any of this that carefully. People have got links if they're curious.
Okay.
Did some rewrites to clarify, especially on the Keptn apps. Thanks so much for Flo to straightening some things out. Working on the migration guide, which so far we're just sort of writing down what we've got to know, and we'll put it there and hope it grows or something happens. And Yash is not here, right?
I do not believe so.
So that I was going to have him, if he was here, to start looking at that old big architecture diagram, which I can't figure out half of what's in it if I blow it up so I can see it. But, and I think, and there's, it's obviously outdated for starters, the separate metrics operator doesn't show, so. But we'll need him here for that, so don't know that. And Adam is working on a new getting started document. I don't think the pieces we've got there now, I'm not terribly satisfied with them. They're not even, they don't step you through, and Adam's got this lovely piece that's got copy paste for everything. You get Grafana up, etc.
Nice.
So if you want to see it, you can flip to the Netlify from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Oh, nice
that
pictures.
nice, a big drawing of what you're going to get. And then I don't know, would we, I guess we'll have a discussion. We've still got the original getting started guide that Thomas wrote up there with some refinement. And then we've got the 3-part thing that I did based on Andy's demo. And I don't know whether we want to keep all of them or just change to this one or whatever, but
I wonder about making the ones that you did for based off of Andy's video, like more of like a use case guide versus like a getting started guide.
well, they are called,
Yeah,
I was
delineation.
told,
between them.
we need, yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
But we've also got to deal with, if we continue to use that, we need to make sure that the app that we're using is getting updated and kept up to date with the software. And there's a problem that it's off in a private repo, and we kind of don't want to be tying to things that are in private repos. And I mean, it's available publicly, but yeah, all sorts of discussions that are sort of, I don't have strong feelings about them, sort of up to the
Okay.
group to decide what works.
So this is the private repo you mentioned
Yeah,
in your exercises.
yeah. And
Yeah, I guess I don't have strong opinions on this. We could keep both, as
yeah,
Stacy suggested.
right. We could
I
have, I
think
mean, we
just-
can have both.
Yeah, just classifying it as like a use case guide instead of like the getting started guide. I
Yes.
think
Right.
the getting started guide is like something entirely different than, oh, here's your use case, follow this guide, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, that kind of
Yeah.
just makes sense to me, but open to whatever.
And then we have, okay, this is a to-do. Okay, is there anything else for documentation side we should have a look at together maybe?
I think that's all I've got.
Cool. I think the documentation for the migration to Keptn is very nice already. We have a lot of details, information that were not there before. I hopefully will merge it soon. Cool.
Okay.
Flo, do you want to take over? Shall we move already to the refinement?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Then it's all yours.
Okay, let me share my screen. Yes, you should see my browser. All right. Okay, so today we're gonna refine the issues from the SLO feature parity epic. Last week in the community meeting, the overall concept was explained, right? So let's, in this session, look at the individual issues that need to be tackled for this epic. And the tracking issue you can see here on my screen. So this is the issue for the epic. And basically here we have the list of all individual items that need to be tackled. They are already ordered mostly. There are some interdependencies between those, but yeah, let's go through them one by one, I would say. also, I think everyone that votes is already in the board, right? Okay, that looks, just to be sure, I will post the link to the board one more time to the chat, so nobody is left out. All right, and let's look at the first one. So this is about bootstrapping the first custom resource definition that we will need for this to work. So this is the equivalent to what used to be the slo.yaml file in Keptn v1. And the structure is depicted in an example here. I'm not going to go through the complete structure in detail, because I think this was discussed in last week. But in case you do want to get into more details there, there is also a proof of concept pull request that I was working on, where the structs are, yeah, pretty much defined as they should be. So that can be taken as a reference. And then also, in addition to that, there are some constraints when it comes to this struct that need to be checked in a validating webhook. So for example, within, here they are. So for example, within the struct where we allow the any of or all of properties, either one of those should be configurable. So you wouldn't be allowed to set both any of and the all of property. And then similarly to that, for example, within these target items, you can only set one of those operators. So for example, only less than or equal, but not any of the other ones. I've added those with the null value in this example here, just to illustrate that those are pretty much the available options that you would have there. All right, and then, yeah, the definition of
I have
then.
one question in between.
Yeah.
If you go back up to the example, the outermost any ofs, is it intentional that those are not in lists?
Pass any of, no, that's not intentional. So that's correct. That should be, no, that should be like it is, because here we only have either any of or all of, but not multiple of those.
Okay, so can you, okay.
So it's just to stay in line with the previous structure that we had in the SLO YAML. Yeah, so, sorry about the confusion.
Can I ask again?
Yeah.
So basically, I can have at the beginning any of, and then I can have any, all of, any of in an amount that is possible.
Within that you can have multiple of those. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Just to allow multiple combinations of targets. This proved to be the most flexible solution, which also provides the same features as the SLO. All right, and then, yeah, of course, the definition of done would be that we have this custom resource definition ready with the manifests and all other required configuration generated by Cube Builder. Then also the validation webhook with those constraints. And then, of course, unit tests for the validation webhook and some CUDL tests to check whether we can apply those resources to the cluster. Are there any other questions about that, or should we jump into the estimation?
Do we want documentation to be part of this DoD, or just have that as a separate issue?
Documentation will then be a separate issue once everything's implemented.
Okay.
But I guess the ARD documentation will be part of this ticket.
The auto-generated one, yeah,
Yeah.
will be part.
But
Yeah.
maybe an example of the CRD filled in the samples could be part of this ticket
Yeah.
because the
That would be
generated
good, yeah.
sample is empty otherwise.
All right. Then let's estimate. All right, Mo, any opinions for DL?
I'm fine with an M as well. I kind of gave it an L because it's the CRD, it's the webhook, it's testing both things, it's integration test as well. Sounds like a lot to me. Although some stuff is pre-done, of course, but yeah. But I mean, you guys are the Go experts, so.
Okay, then I guess let's go with the let's so let's go with the medium. All right, thank you. Then let's also remove the label. And I think we're ready to discuss the next issue. This would be bootstrapping the analysis value template CRD. So if you recall the overall concept, this will be similar to what the Keptn metrics would be right now, but with the added support for making use of a templating syntax, because later on when we do the actual analysis evaluations, we will need to be able to fill out those placeholders in order to get the actual value of a certain required value for the particular time frame of the metric. And yeah, overall, this issue is similar to the one we discussed before. So first of all, we need to add this new resource. In this case, we don't need any validation webhook logic, so that in this case will not be necessary. But what I'm gonna add now is also, of course, the update of the auto-generated CRD docs. And of course, an example manifest. So this will be a little bit simpler than the previous issue, I think. Are there any questions about that one, or should we jump into the estimation? You're on mute.
Now?
Yep, no, it's
yeah, only a silly one. Is it analysis template or analysis value template? Because
this will be still analysis value template.
okay, so can you change the DOD and the one above? Yeah.
The analysis,
so there are two of them
course,
that.
yeah.
Okay, I was a bit confused. Okay, good.
All right, good catch.
And under it in DOD. Yeah.
And under it.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Okay, now it's clear then.
But Anna has a point. We won't have any analysis value. So maybe analysis template makes sense.
But it's for a single value. So you may have an analysis made with multiple.
Exactly, yeah,
Okay.
because analysis will then be the CRD that will be created to trigger a analysis of multiple values. So,
yeah.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, we have an agreement. So everyone voted for S in this case. So let's put the little rabbit here and remove the label. All right, thank you. And let's go on with the next one. This is about bootstrapping another custom resource definition. So this is the analysis CRD, and this is what will be used to trigger the actual analysis. So this is kind of an application of an instance of this custom resource would be the evaluation.triggered event in Keptn v1. So in this case, to do an analysis, you would create an instance of this resource. And what you will need to provide here would be the time frame, because in this case, you're interested in analyzing a certain time frame. And additionally, you will be able to pass a set of selectors, or where you can, for example, looking at Keptn version 1, you can say, I want to do this for project X, stage so-and-so, and service so-and-so. But of course, in addition to that, you can pretty much pass on any other kind of key value pairs that can later be used in the retrieval of the analysis values that will be. So this will basically be what will be inserted into the template string of the analysis value templates. And of course, when triggering such an analysis, you will refer to an analysis definition. So this is the custom resource that we discussed at the beginning. So this will tell you exactly what goals the values that you would like to analyze should meet. And I will just copy over the additional entries for the definition of done. Sorry, I'm a little bit slow today already, but let's add those so we don't forget them. All right. Yeah. All in all.
Silly question. Since I just finished writing something that says we have no concept of project and stage in KLT.
Mm-hmm.
What are those for KLT? What is a project?
Project, stage, service. Those we do not have in KLT. Here I just added those particular selectors to kind of establish the link between Keptn version 1 and this new feature in KLT. So this would be how you could translate to that, but those are not any special kind of concepts that are going to be introduced in KLT. So those can really be any key value pairs like this foo bar here. If you would really like to map project, stage, and service to the KLT, I guess project would be a Keptn app. Okay. Service would be a Keptn workload, and for stage, there's not really a concept in KLT that would translate to that directly.
So I could use app and then use the name of a Keptn app that I've got defined.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
But if I have an old SLO from Keptn v1, I could translate it directly and collect it the same just because I have the selectors. So at the end of the day, I can have the same metrics.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, I don't understand that, but we'll figure it out later.
I think last week we also said that we will rename selectors to metadata or something, if I'm not mistaken. I don't hear you, Anna.
I hear him mute. Yeah, Anna just confirmed either context or metadata.
Yeah.
Any opinions for any of those?
I vote for context.
Yeah.
metadata could be confusing since we had metadata also in
because we
Keptn.
also have it here. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think context would best
Yes.
describe
But
it.
don't
yeah.
we have context used for something else in tasks definition?
In Keptn LTS, we have the context as the event ID
Yeah,
or something like that.
yeah.
We are gonna have context though, because we have an issue for that. So filters.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, a Keptn context CRD is maybe gonna exist in the future, right?
Let's look for synonyms of selectors. Filters, I guess.
Yeah, but that doesn't really apply. It's just data that you transfer
pass
over, right?
through, yeah.
Yeah. It's not actually filters or selectors. It is kind of a context or metadata. We could do
Pick,
something like
select,
hotel does and do
choose.
like analysis baggage or something,
Analysis metadata.
or analysis metadata or something like that.
Then here it would again be called spec.metadata, probably.
Mm,
And then why not do baggage?
analysis
Baggage is-
context then.
Mhm.
No, it's no. We have analysis definition and analysis context.
In hotel, exactly this type of data is named baggage.
Baggage.
Arbitrary key value data that you want to pass on.
Okay. I mean, I would be fine. I don't really have a strong opinion on the naming.
This would be a alpha version anyhow,
Yeah.
no? So
All right, let's call it bagage.
bagage.
Uh,
Luggage.
Okay. Yeah, it's not like we're married to this naming because it's alpha.
Yeah.
Actually, a question about kind for all of these. Why aren't we using like Keptn analysis and etc.?
Yeah, we recently discussed this, and yeah, having Keptn in front of all of the custom resources doesn't make too much sense at this point because it just becomes overly verbose. So we actually do plan to remove this prefix when we make a stable version of all the APIs.
So Keptn app is going to become just app, you mean? And
Mhm.
Yeah.
so I'll have to look
Isn't-
carefully at the library to know which ones are Kubernetes and which ones are Keptn.
But because the resource, when
kind
you
of
see it
tricky.
in Kubernetes, this has the Keptn.sh always appended to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's fairly simple to see it.
Yes,
But
the
that means
API
you-
group.
Okay.
That means with kubectl, if like analysis is also a thing in Argo, right?
Mhm.
So if you would do kubectl get analyses, you wouldn't actually get anything because it's ambiguous if you have KLT and Argo, for example. So there is an argument to have it prefixed with Keptn, I think.
You can have the short name, which is Keptn A or KA or something like that. So you can do a get with that.
Mhm. Oh yeah, okay.
And
Yeah.
then if not. I have a question. Analysis is the one that is auto-generated then, right? No, this is the one you apply.
This can be auto-generated. So if you're just using the metrics operator and not the lifecycle toolkit, you can then trigger an analysis by applying such a resource. But later on, within the lifecycle toolkit, this could replace the Keptn evaluations that we have right now. And that's what the lifecycle toolkit could then auto-generate when doing the pre and post evaluations.
So analysis definition would be in the same namespace, most likely.
This will be in the same namespace, yeah.
Okay. And the time frame and analysis definition are mandatory field.
Time frame and those are mandatory,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
All right, then let's jump into the estimation. And we have an agreement on S. Where did the another rabbit? All right. Thank you. And let's go on with the next one. This would be analysis. This one, yeah. All right. This next issue is a little bit bigger. This will be about implementing the actual evaluation logic that was previously taken care of by the Lighthouse service in Keptn v1. And basically, we don't need to go through the full specifications here, I think, because this will kind of explode our time frame that we have. But basically, this component that's to be implemented in this issue will take a set of analysis values that were retrieved previously. So essentially a map from name of a certain value to its actual value, right? And evaluate those against the goals that you defined in the analysis definition. And basically, this component will go through each of the objectives that you defined, check the criteria that you defined using the combination of the any of and all of properties within those criteria, then calculates the score for each of those based on the weight of the individual goals, summarize them, and then it will calculate the achieved percentage of the total achievable score, and then using the pass and warning thresholds that you're specifying in the pass percentage and warning percentage, it will then decide whether the result is a pass or a warning. And yeah, this issue is for implementing this component. There is already a proof of concept that I was working on because the logic in the Lighthouse service in Keptn v1 was pretty complicated to follow. And I think I've found a good approach on how to make this much easier and testable. So I'm gonna link this proof of concept PR to this issue. And yeah, and this issue is really about only implementing this this function or this component that will do that. So the definition of done here is really to implement the component and do the unit tests. And in another issue, we will actually make use of this in the analysis controller. But this will be out of scope of this issue. Are there any questions about that? Yes, Mo?
My OCD is triggering. We have analysis marked as pass and then analysis marked as failed. Shall we use either passed and failed or passed and failed?
Ah, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I would vote for the past tense form.
I guess it makes sense in this case, yeah. Yeah, I will need to go through this in detail later after the meeting. But I will promise Mo to update this. But I think the exact naming will not affect the estimation too much. If there are no other questions, let's jump into the estimation. All right. We have 2 L's and 2 M's. Maybe let's start with the L's. So Anna and Andre. You're on mute.
I think I'll be a bit challenged in making sure that I am testing all of the possible scoring scenarios. So I was giving myself a bit more space, but M could also be fine.
I would agree with Anna. The testing will be challenging because the combinations here are quite can be spread out quite a lot.
All right, Mo, any strong opinion for an M?
Not really.
Okay, then I would say we agree on L. The only reason I voted with M was because I'm more into it and was working on this POC. So I was a little bit biased here, but of course I'm fine with putting the little octopus here. All right, the label was
And,
removed already.
Andres commit to 100% coverage for this ticket.
Absolutely, that's the absolute minimum that we're accepting here.
Always give 110%.
Only exceptional performance will constitute a passing grade. All right. How are we looking time-wise? 20 minutes left. Perfect. So we might just make it through all of the issues that we need here. All right, we did that. Now the next one is the controller for the analysis. This one depends on a couple of the previous ones that we just discussed. All right. Yeah, so this will be the actual controller logic. On a very high level, what it's going to do is, of course, it will be triggered when an analysis CRD is applied to the cluster. So when you want to do an analysis of a certain time frame, and what the controller will do is it will fetch the referenced analysis definition, right? This will tell the controller what values do I actually need based on the analysis value template references within that analysis definition. Then it should make use of the current provider implementations, so Dynatrace, Prometheus, DQL, and Datadog, to actually retrieve those values based on the queries that are in the analysis definitions. For that, it will need to replace the fields from the baggage that we have in the analysis. So it will take those and replace the template placeholders in the query, then retrieve all the values. Then once all values are available, it will then call this evaluation component that we just discussed in the previous issue. And finally, it will get a result from that. And this it will then store in the status of the analysis custom resource. So that's the high level logic, right? Any questions about this? All right, and then yeah, the definition of done in this case is control is implemented. We have unit tests, and of course integration tests where we apply an analysis and wait for the resource to be reconciled and the status to be populated. All right, then let me delete the estimates. You're mute.
I have a question about the analysis. Did we think about an error in the status? Is it there? I don't remember if I see it.
Mm-hmm.
So like if the score computation fails, will we?
Yeah, this will likely be an outcome of either this issue or the previous one where the actual logic is implemented. So this one I didn't specify in detail, but I think this will be an implementation detail that will become more apparent, and then it's up to the implementer to suggest a concept for that.
Fair.
All right, then let's jump into the estimation. Mo's AFK. So should we wait for his vote or?
Not sure how long he will be.
Yeah, let's reveal. We have 2 L's and 1 M. Any strong opinions for the M? All right, then I would say let's go with the L. Okay. Okay. We're literally plowing through this issue. I like that. Okay, then let's go on with the next one. And this is about adding the status to the analysis CRD. This is likely going to be an outcome of one of the previous 2 issues that we just discussed. I just wanted to separate this one from the bootstrapping of that analysis CRD, because it's important for the other issues to have the spec of the analysis CRD and the CRD itself available, so we can work off of that. And so this issue is all about just storing the status of the evaluation. And as Andre suggested here, I like that suggestion, is for example also add the status of the individual SLIs that we're using during an analysis, also including the concrete query that we then used to send to the provider to fetch the query, to make troubleshooting easy if we get a suspicious value for one of those analysis values that are retrieved during the analysis. And yeah, that's pretty much the scope of this issue. Any questions about that? All right, then let me delete the estimates of the previous one and let's estimate. Okay, we have 2S and 1 XS. I don't have a strong opinion for the XS. So let's go with the S.
As you like.
I think this issue will be covered as part of one of the previous ones, because otherwise it won't work.
Yeah, very likely so. All right. Then we would have 2 more issues left, but just to give you a quick glance of the scope, these will be about converting the Keptn v1 artifacts related to this feature, so the SLO and SLI YAML, to the resources that we discussed here. But actually, I'm not sure how much we can set in stone here at this point, because I think it's going to be likely that some things will change during the work on the previous tickets that will likely affect the goals of these issues here. So I would suggest that we refine those in one of the upcoming sessions, if that's okay with everyone. Okay, then if everyone agrees, I'm all out of issues, I have to admit. Thank you everyone for the discussions.
One last
Yeah.
thing, shall we add a documentation issue to the epic? Not forget about it.
Yeah, that would be a great thing.
And one thing to keep in mind is that probably by the end of the epic, Meg would already have merged something about the migration. So all of those docs may need a review.
True, yeah.
Should we make also a ticket for providing example or adding this example in the example folder? Or should this be done during the implementation? Of which ticket?
Good question. Maybe I wouldn't see it as part of the documentation.
As part of the documentation.
What do you
But-
what do you consider as an example? Because when bootstrapping the CRDs, we're adding in examples, and basically at the end we can just have the docs and put it all together.
We have one main example with multiple repo with observability and whatnot. So maybe it makes sense to add one little YAML for the analysis there, and I reckon it would be nice if we do it and it's separate, because then anybody can document it.
All right, let's make an issue for that. That's
Thanks.
definitely not a wrong thing to do here.
Sounds like a lot.
Gonna be fun. All
And
right, then, yeah.
I had just a question if we want to have any good first issue. Sorry, I don't want to stretch the meeting for too long.
It's a good question. I mean, if there are any, only gonna be adding the new custom resources. The rest is more on the complex side, I would say.
So would the analysis value template be a good candidate, for instance?
Theoretically, I mean, I'm already working on it.
Okay, then, then no.
What about the actual implementation of the scoring logic? That's kind of encapsulated in itself and kind of on its own
But
a little bit.
It is quite complex, the fact that you have to map one-on-one what Keptn was doing, probably, no?
But it's the issue is well documented, so
I mean,
maybe
it's
discuss this with Giovanni, because I think also the timeline that we need to fulfill here will
Doesn't
play a role
apply.
on this. Is more on the critical path of this feature.
Probably.
I wouldn't be against it, but maybe let's sync with Giovanni on that one. I
Mhm.
would say, if that's okay.
Worst case scenario, the example ticket could be.
Yeah,
good
that
first
would
issue.
definitely be a good first issue, I think.
Okay, thanks.
don't do it yet. It doesn't even have a description.
We will have otherwise a lot of things to explain.
Sorry, it's late already.
Yeah. Okay, sorry for hijacking.
Okay, then I will give back the screen share.
So should we close here? Anybody has anything else? Good. Thanks, Flo. This was a lot.
Good stuff.
Thanks, everyone.
Cool. Then ciao, everybody, and see you next week in the
All
morning.
right.
thank
See
you.
you.
Thanks.
Thanks, bye.
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 Yeah.